You're listening to Drummer Daily, the only daily podcast just for drummers. Hey, if you want to get better at playing with a click track, and who doesn't, go to boomclick.net/start today. Hey, welcome back to Drummer Daily. I'm happy you're here. I say that every time because I mean it every time. You are a gift, and I am so happy that you are choosing to spend just a few minutes with me today. It really means a lot, and I hope that I can serve you with these podcasts. I really do just want to give you as much information as I can. I know that we all love talking about drums, but I hope that you're incorporating some of this stuff into your playing as well, and then into your practice. Hey, speaking of practice, I actually want to talk to you today about something that I've talked about. If you subscribe to my newsletter, I mentioned this in a recent newsletter that I sent out. If you don't subscribe to my newsletter, jump over to, I think it's danielhadaway.com/newsletter and sign up. It's free. It comes out a couple of times a week, and it's just, free info, more of this type of stuff. Let's talk about drumming. Let's talk about becoming professionals or becoming more passionate about our playing or developing our playing. So anyway, danielhadaway.com/newsletter, or just go to danielhadaway.com, and I believe there's a button at the top that says newsletter. Click on that and sign up. It's super easy. But anyway, I talked about this in my newsletter not too long ago. And I actually talked about this as well. I'm sure you've heard me talk about Boomclick Bootcamp, the bootcamp for drummers. I talked about this we have a private Facebook group for anyone who joins the bootcamp. And I do live broadcasts, live Q&A sessions through video there. And we talked about this recently on there as well. But I had a question, and someone said, hey, I go through phases where sometimes I feel like I'm rock solid, I'm on it with my playing, with the click, I feel like I'm in the groove, and it's awesome, I'm having a great time. And then sometimes, no matter how much I've practiced or where I'm at, I'm just not feeling it. It's just not happening for me today, basically. What do I do in those situations? And I have a couple of responses, a couple of ways to handle that, and I thought I'd share those with you today as well. So there's kind of two scenarios where this happens to me, because it does happen to me too, for sure. I don't know if any drummer has ever had this not happen to them. If you play for long enough, you're going to have this happen to you. There's two situations. One is if you are about to play a gig, and what I mean by gig is it could be a show, it could be playing at church, it could be even a rehearsal with a band, it could be studio session. It could be basically anything where you are on, you have to play, and other people are going to be hearing your playing. Basically anything but a solo practice session. What do you do in that situation? The other situation is when you're just by yourself practicing, and we're going to talk about each and kind of one thing I do in each of those situations. So first, if you're about to play a gig, and you're just not feeling it, or you are in a gig and you find yourself not feeling it, what can you do? Well, what I do is this. The first temptation is to overthink it and to get really upset and think, man, why am I not feeling this? Why am I not feeling it? I should be feeling it. I've practiced so much. What's going on? How can I fix this? What can I do? And you kind of start spiraling out of control. And before you know it, you are so distracted by the fact that you're not feeling it that you're actually playing even worse than you originally were when you weren't feeling it. So you definitely don't want that to happen. So what I do is this in that situation. When I'm not feeling it and I become aware of it, I just say, to myself, just not feeling it right now. This might be one of those gigs where it's just going to be work. I'm just going to have to work on this. I'm going to have to focus a little more, or I'm going to have to just, be okay with not, going bananas on the drums. And that's really the thing, is choosing to accept that you're not feeling it, because it's going to happen. And if you're aware of it, accept it. Say, I'm aware that my playing might be limited today. So what do we do? What does that mean to our playing? Well, when we accept that we're not feeling it, what that means is this. We don't push and try to overcompensate by playing crazy beats and crazy patterns that jolt us out of it. You can't get jolted out of not feeling it. You have to be gently led into the green pastures of feeling it again. And it can happen a lot of times that if you do this, you'll get there, but you can't just jolt yourself out of it. It doesn't work that way. At least in my experience, it doesn't. So what I do is I say, all right, what is the backbone, what is the skeleton of this song and this pattern that I can play, and I can focus on just playing that as simply as possible. And that's kind of step one. Beyond that, step two is, what can I do to make sure that I'm not a distraction? This is especially important when I'm playing, not in the studio, because the studio you have a little more forgiveness because you can, try again unless you're on a super tight timeline. You can mess up a little bit and try again. But if you're playing at church especially, or even in a live gig, the question should be, how can I play and not be a distraction? How can I not put attention on myself in an undue way and snap the other people who are here out of it? At church, for worship, or at a gig just to hear the cool music, how can I make sure that I'm not snapping people out of it with my playing? And that's really my number one goal. A lot of times that's my goal, even if I am feeling it, is how can I make sure I'm not a distraction? But I do that, and a lot of times just by simplifying my playing, but really simplifying my expectation of what I can provide today, I'm able to start enjoying things again, maybe find the groove and find a way to feel it again, or if nothing else, make it through and feel good at the end of the gig about what I was able to provide despite my circumstance. So that's what I do in gigs if I'm not feeling it. Now, if I'm practicing solo, of course no one's hearing it and there's no pressure to do anything, but it's still not very fun to play drums when you're not feeling it. It just feels like, I don't know, I feel like I'm a stick in the mud or something when I do that. Now, I will say that I always feel this way. If I go a couple of weeks without playing drums, and I'm sorry to admit this to you, but sometimes I do that. I'm really bad about practicing sometimes. I got to do better about practicing what I preach. But I do try to record a couple of times a week at home, if nothing else. So I am playing something. It's just not focused practice time. That's my own little way of making myself feel better. But anyway, there's no pressure if you're practicing. And like I said, if I haven't played for a couple of weeks, I definitely always feel this way. I'm definitely not feeling it if I haven't played in a while. But then it just does creep up randomly in my practice anyway. So what do I do in those situations? Well, you might know already that I'm a big fan of playing along with backing tracks, or playing along with other music, songs that I love to hear. Some of my favorite songs, whatever they are. And so I will just choose different music. I choose music that doesn't require the same amount of playing from me. It's a different kind of approach. Like it might be a simpler kind of song that I'm playing on with, a simpler kind of band. I play along with I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example. I either play along with something that has a simple backbone to it, like a lot of times the 1975, like that's one of my favorite bands right now. They have very simple backbones. Like the details are very intricate and complicated, but the backbone is very solid and simple, and it's easy for me to play along with it. And the thing I like about songs like that, or bands like that, is that the details are where you can start to add back in. A lot of times the details are where I find the inspiration and kind of ease my way back into feeling it again. But basically what I'm saying is choose different music. Choose music that's not going to require you, if you're practicing, to try to do something crazy, so that you can still find a little bit of enjoyment out of what you're doing. The most important thing is that if you're not feeling it, is to still play. And I think that's a discipline thing. It's finding the discipline to continue on even when you're not feeling it. Especially if your goal is to become a professional in some capacity. That's something that, as a professional, if you're playing on tour night after night, you have to play these songs, and some nights you're way into it and it's awesome. But I promise you, if you play long enough, you're not going to feel it every night, no matter how cool it is. You could be playing in an arena full of 50,000 people or whatever it is. You're still not going to feel it every night. I've played on tours where we did arenas every night, and there were still nights where it felt the same as playing in a room of 30 people, meaning the crowd didn't give me anything to make me feel it anymore. I still wasn't feeling it, even in a giant crowd of people. So it's going to happen. The idea is, how do you respond to that adversity? And like I mentioned earlier, the big thing to remember is that sometimes, not often hopefully, but sometimes playing the drums is just work. You got to work at it, and you got to accept that it's going to feel like work. But the goal is, if you can press through those times, the enjoyment of when we are feeling it is just so much better. So I hope that helps you out today, and we will talk again soon. Bye.